All right, so you're making the decision to admit them. These are IV, they have to be admitted. I want to review some of the things that the IDSA came up with in 2019, some of the recommendations. And a lot of it is no, which I was actually really happy about. Lots of people were trying lots of clever things, right? Because you don't try new things, you don't know if it works or not. But a lot of the things we were trying didn't work. People were trying to determine what the etiology of the pneumonia was by using a procalcitonin. IDSA says don't do that. Should we use steroids routinely in pneumonia? The answer is no. Should we check for flu on everyone who has a bacterial pneumonia? The answer is no. Should we look for Legionella without evidence of an outbreak nearby? The answer is no. Should we do urine streptococcal antigen tests? No, we should not. And something we've known for a long time, but I'm going to use this as the opportunity. Should we repeat an X-ray to track resolution? The answer is a hard no. The X-ray will actually worsen even though the patient's getting better. Now, all this stuff in black is applicable to all three columns. Then they got into slightly less strong recommendations, but with a common theme. So now I'm speaking for them. I'm not actually citing them, right? So I'm taking my interpretation of what the recommendations were. They said, because you're definitely not going to change your antibiotic management in someone you send home on oral antibiotics, you will absolutely have no reason to do a sputum culture or blood cultures on an ambulatory pneumonia. No cultures. And then they said, well, you know, since what usually happens is cultures come back by day 3, the day that most patients who are on CAP are already transitioning to oral antibiotics anyway, and they're only going to be on antibiotics for 3 more days, it doesn't really change management, so why are we doing it? So they said with a very weak hand, for this one, much weaker than the blue one, sputum and blood cultures shouldn't be done for a community-acquired pneumonia. Now, you're going to find a lot of pushback because a lot of hospitals have templated protocols based on quality metrics and safety things that have nothing to do with antibiotic management, but have a lot to do with how they're rated by the government, who may still ask you to do this. Same thing with the antibiotic choice. If someone tells you to do this, do it. But here's what I took away. And they said, you know, the only real time we feel good about recommending sputum cultures and blood cultures is the red line. That was when anyone was treated with escalated antibiotics for MRSA, Pseudomonas, or they were sick as shit. And the reason for that is to get a good sputum sample, you really need a bronchoalveolar lavage. And it's really easy to do that on someone who's already intubated. So if they're already sick and in the ICU, it's easy to and get a good sample. It's really hard to get a good sample from the person laying in bed, doesn't feel great, doesn't want to give you the sample. And so what this tells me is, since you start broad and want to de-escalate, the real reason to get a sputum and blood culture in bacterial pneumonia is to facilitate de-escalation. After all, there isn't an equivalent to vancomycin or pip/tazo that's oral. You don't want them to stay on IV medications they don't need, and you definitely don't want to pick big guns that are going to breed resistance if those organisms aren't causing the bacterial pneumonia. Really slick. I think it was really smart. Don't do extra stuff. Pick the antibiotics. De-escalate if you can. Now, of course, this is just for the pneumonia part. If they're septic, you're going to give them fluids. You're going to treat them for the sepsis. If they need pressors, blah, 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 blah. This is, though, a typical routine pneumonia going to the floor.